We'll now have an open discussion, questions. You can direct them to whoever you like on the panel. Please just mention your name and institution, introduce yourself briefly. When you get up to ask a question, please. We'll open the floor. Yes.
My name is Naomi Ang. I'm the president of Ben-Gurion College. It's one of Israel's largest teacher education institutions. And I was also a member of the Council of Higher Education for 2 terms, so I have a broader perspective. I just wanted to find out how is teacher education influenced by the Bologna process, because it had been in the past very diverse in different countries. The national governments are usually very much attached to teacher education. Certification is a huge issue. It's very much culturally based, language based. So I would like to find out if there are any obstacles, any developments in that sense. Thank you.
Well, can you hear me through this mic?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I think 3 years ago, I took part in a study for the European Commission on how teacher education develops in Europe. If you send me an email, then I can send you the link to that study. It gives you an overview. In a nutshell, there are countries where higher education training is at colleges, others at universities. There are countries where it's all at bachelor level, somewhere it is distributed across bachelor and master level. So depending on that, they have difficulties or don't have difficulties with the reform. Nearly all of them formally move to the bachelor and master structure and use the ECTS and modules. But the bigger challenge is, why do you need it? Because if teacher training is so nationally bound, what's the use of student exchange? So, implementation to the letter, yes, but on the purposes, I think, you need more discussion.
Please.
I'm very short from Tel Aviv University. My question is, some of you say that Bologna is not uniformization, but still having a degree with a certain number of ECTS, whatever it's called, in some sense forces a university to recognize, no matter where this degree or partial degree is coming from, other universities. And how, in the process you are familiar with, how did the university look at different levels, quality level? I don't know, Cambridge is maybe not the same as some other university somewhere. So do they accept, would they accept students coming from no matter what with the right number?
Yeah, I suppose in my own institution, we have a mix. So we have a mix, and we always did. For example, the BA, the Bachelor of Arts, is a 3-year program. Honours degree, level 8 on our framework now. But science, all the science degrees, are 4-year honours program. Engineering is a 4-year program, and now moving to a 5-year master's, so it will have a 4-year B, funded by government, 1-year add-on master's to get now the international recognition. And in a sense, these systems, our students have always been accepted, for example, into Oxford or Cambridge. If it's in arts, then they look for a master's prior to accepting into a PhD program. If it's in science, they don't. In my own institution, an BA graduate of a 3-year program would not normally go straight to PhD, but in science, a 4-year honours graduate with a certain level of achievement can go straight into the PhD level and be funded and so on. So it's a mix, and we have never had that. For a while in Ireland, the government, exactly as Joanna said, almost tried to say Bologna is 3+2, and there was this big lot of discussions. And then people went back and read the original documents, which do not say 3+2. And so we have kept our 3-year degrees, our 4-year degrees. For example, commerce in my institution is 4 years. Commerce in National University of Ireland, Galway, is 3 years. Both degrees are recognised by employers, etc. So It's just understanding what's in them, I think, is more important than anything else. But we have the mix, and the mix is well understood abroad as well as, so our students do get accepted into institutions abroad, and it's the individual programme that really is the benchmark, I suppose, for their acceptance or not. But the diversity is not a problem.
Maybe about acceptance lies very strongly with the faculty.
Yes.
And it has not been taken away from the faculty because of Bologna, so they have the say whether to accept or not to accept. And in the German, I mean, there are very many critical voices. Some even say that Bologna hasn't eased it at all, because even without bachelor-master structure, they would have accepted a student just on the basis of looking what he has done, whether he had a degree or not. So there might be institutions where this is more managerially managed, you know, but I think in many European institutions it's still the faculty that decide.
And it is, but according to Polish law, to be eligible for second cycle, one has to have bachelor of equivalent, and for third cycle, master of equivalent. So we are in different situation than here. And then if we have some people from, let us say, more exotic countries, so then, for example, our faculty council calls somebody from our body as a kind of expert who has to analyze curriculum and then gives opinion, and faculty council can decide. So it is just regulation. Nobody can force us, for example, to take somebody we don't want to take.
Uniform impact, what has actually, what kind of influence has actually the process had, especially I'm of course interested in my field of law. I'm wondering if anybody has any information on that, to what extent it has influenced the study of law around Europe. And here of course we have this issue of professionals, a professional school where also the professional bar association had certain demands. Are you aware of any actual impact that this had?
So maybe I will just give a short comment. As for example, in Poland, so first, law is still long studies, 5 years, master studies. Now only, according to new Higher Education Act, there is a possibility of having a bachelor master. But usually Polish, on the one hand, Polish law was just not according to this two-cycle principle. However, on the other hand, at least at our university, in some other universities, we had ECTS modularization. That means all these new rules, learning outcomes was implemented at law faculties, and they were very well developed with this respect.
So the same study I talked about that looked into teacher education across the EU, it also looked into law, it looked into engineering, into history, and one more, medicine. So except for history, all the special areas that had difficulties with Bologna. Again, write me an email. I sent you the study on law. In a nutshell, the result was that in most countries, again, they formally moved to bachelor-master structure even in law, but it didn't mean that much. They didn't really change the structure. What they often did is they had most lawyers, they have a third phase where they have the professional training. And they either put that into the masters or they left that after the masters to have it outside of academic training. So, and some also have only the bachelor and then directly the training on the job and no masters at all, and they keep the masters aside just for special things like international law, LLM, etc. So again, countries can play with the structure, use it for different purposes, and in Germany, like in Poland, they resisted it so far completely. Not even modularization in ECTS. In Germany, the people who study law sit in the ministries. It's funny because higher education reform is enforced by the ministries, but they have their own side law, so to say.
I would just add a comment. In Ireland, it is completely different. Law is a university degree, bachelor mainly, and then there's masters, LLM, and all the rest of it. But the professional accreditation recognition is outside of the universities. So they ECTS, they modularized, they did all the works the same as the rest of the universities. But in a sense, it is the professional bodies, there's one for solicitors and one for barristers, which determine the professional recognition accreditation, and that's outside of the universities. So we didn't have the same difficulties in that regard.
My name is Simone Stern. I am the chair of the Quality Assurance Committee of the Council of Higher Education of Israel, and I am from the Department of Industrial Engineering and Management from Ben-Gurion University. And my question is, if you had any attempts, the Bologna people, to have any entrance exams for the master's degree or for the PhD, as they do in the United States. And the second question in this line is the language a barrier, because of different languages in the different European countries. There is such an exam or exams in different fields. What would be the language? Is English obvious, or like the United States, 50 states with the same language?
Well, I would just make two comments. One, in our system, acceptance into a master's program is based on whatever those who are offering the program and the institution has said. Primarily it's bachelor, but there can be, by other routes as well, recognition of prior learning in different arenas, and especially leading into PhD. But there isn't normally an exam unless, in some cases, we do offer master's qualifying exam for those who have a bachelor but have not achieved an adequate level in the bachelor to be accepted into the master's program. So it's only, if you like, almost a second chance for people to prove that they can benefit from the master's.
But it's not a European exam.
No. Oh, no. It would be an exam within my institution for specific programs. We don't have exams, and that exam then would be normally in English. The language thing, in Ireland we have two languages in our constitution, Irish and English. They're both equal. And so, well, we do like our students to go abroad and to study in different countries, but because we have English, very often there is that medium, so there can be this discussion. But our students who study languages other than Irish and English, we almost require them now to study abroad for at least a semester, if not a year, in a country where they speak the language that they're supposed to be doing for the degree, like BCom, business with French. Then they should spend a year in France doing business studies in French, so that they have competence in the language as well as in the business studies. So it's a mix of things. But we don't have, nor would the UK have, European-wide exams for acceptance into master's or PhD programs. That's very much at the level of each individual institution, how they decide, and usually each program, how it is decided to accept in the students. It's very much an institutional matter, and below that, it's a matter for the individual program, usually, who has approval by the university to operate whatever system.
In Poland, it's a bit, in a way, similar. That means institution responsible for given study program set up the rules according to Polish regulations. So we made a study for our ministry, a transition from first to second cycle, a kind of comparative analysis. So even at my university, at philology, we found many different regulations, and it depends on popularity of given study area and so on. So it is totally, it depends totally on institution, and also we can have some interviews, some examinations, and so on. As for language, so in Poland we have Polish language, we also offer English studies, and usually we demand appropriate certificates to be admitted. For example, within Erasmus Mundus, so we just fix the rules that given level of knowledge of language certified.
As regards the language of the master's programs, of course, many countries that are non-English speaking, they set up special master's programs in English language to attract international students, but not all of their master's programs are like that. And at bachelor level, it's less frequent, the English language programs. As regards the entrance exams, what I hear a bit in your questions, in the US, you have these standardized, more to say, intelligence tests. How is it called at master's level? Yes.
Graduate record
Yeah.
exams.
So it's very alien to the European culture to go for something like that, and I think even the European Commission wouldn't try. But what I heard is some English universities, they now go to use the US system. So they are entering the US system, and that's a kind of scandal in England. Yeah.
My apologies, we have to cut now.